detaching can often cause more suffering, especially for those of us who are experiencing anxious attachment. Maybe we're in a relationship that causes anxiety, or we're just anxious in general. If you have a fear of abandonment, for example, detaching and removing yourself, trying to or pretending to, can actually sometimes inflame our anxiety. It can actually bring up and cause more suffering than relief. And then we can beat ourselves up about not being able to detach, not being able to turn those anxious thoughts off, not being able to switch off of that, not being able to leave that person, leave that unhealthy relationship, or leave that unhealthy habit, kick it to the curb. And this just creates a spiral, right? We shame ourselves, we continue to focus on it, we go deeper, and we don't actually ever successfully detach. Now, the reason why I wanted to start with looking at why we detach to begin with is because it's going to hold a key here. So I personally don't like to teach detachment as unattaching from outcomes, unattaching from our desires, because I don't actually think that's worth anything. This is my controversial opinion. I don't think it's actually useful for us to detach from our desires, truly. It's not actually useful to lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that we don't want what we want. Now, if your desires have changed, sure, but I think it's more useful to hold true to the essence of what you want. Hold true to the essence of it. Now, this is different from the actual physical, however it's going to physically manifest. Let's say you want to get over an ex and your desire is to have love. That's the essence of your desire, is I want to have healthy love. I want to have passionate love. I want to feel completely met and seen. I want my partner to be present with me. I want to feel deeply cared and loved for and cherished. So that's the essence of your desire. Now, the kind of pseudo, how it has taken shape in the form, let's say, is maybe your ex, someone that you've known in the past, and you're like, oh, but it was I almost had it all with that person, and we can become very attached to that person, but they're not in our lives anymore. So we're creating suffering within ourselves by hyper focusing on them and not focusing on the essence, the core of what we actually really want. And so if we approach this dilemma of, I really want this, and I think I could get it through this, even though it's not really showing up. Maybe I could manipulate the situation or force the situation. I could keep showing up. Maybe I didn't show up, enough. I'm trying to throw ideas out here. And so we have this dilemma. We know what we want. We have the essence of what we want. Sometimes we don't actually have this clarity. So you want to make sure you do this piece first. You want to get clear on the essence of what you want. And then you have what has physically manifested in the past. And you're like, okay, this is really close to it. It has a lot of the pieces, a lot of the flavors. I almost have what I want with this thing. And maybe if I work hard enough, if I try harder, if I communicated harder, if I went to more therapy, if I I could get this person to love me. I could get this person to show up the way that I want them to, so they become a match to this. And that doesn't really work out because the person is no longer in our lives, or the relationship dynamic has shifted so much that that's just not feasible right now. And if the more that we kind of grind at it, the less likely we are to succeed in that. Now, that doesn't mean that this cannot become the essence, but it's just if we are to kind of beat the drum and just kind of try, right? How, who has ever really gotten true love by working really hard for it? Is that really love? And so we have this dilemma where we know the essence of what we really want, and we have something that maybe manifested in the past that was close to it, not exactly a match, but we think, okay, if I maybe work really hard, I can get it to be a match. I can get it to fit with what I really, really want. We focus on this past manifestation because it's what feels the most real. And that can obviously leave us in the quasi land, the in-between space of wanting to get our ex back or not feeling completely, closed and complete with that relationship, which can waste so much of our precious time and actually just drain the energy, suck the energy out of our life. It actually depletes our creative energy when we are hyper focused on something in the past and thinking that we can't have the essence of what we want through some other means. And so this is where we want to detach. We want to detach from the past, or we want to detach from an outcome so that we can have more ease and we can more easily align with the essence and be in alignment with the essence of what we want. We also want to detach because it's too painful to be attached to something that we can't have, something that we knew in the past and can't have right now, a relationship that just is not going to manifest because maybe feelings have changed, desires have changed, you guys are just not a match anymore. And so detachment is often used as a tool to decrease suffering and suffering entirely in the form of helping us to detach from something that we can't have or detach from the expectation of something that we really, really, really want, right? But maybe that like intense, strong desire is actually choking the energy around our desire and actually making it harder for it to manifest. But what I think is really interesting about both of those, right? Wanting to detach from something that we want but can't have, or maybe something in the past, and wanting to detach from a really intense desire that is kind of choking the energy, the flow around a current desire. The underlying desire underneath all of that is actually a desire to feel ease, peace, yeah. Sorry. Okay, peace. It wasn't coming out. So what is underneath both of those is a desire to feel ease and peace, and also to kind of return to our center of potency. So I find it really interesting that that is actually what's underneath it, is we want to end our suffering. We want to stop pining. We want to stop like being obsessive about a goal. And we want to feel in flow again. We want to feel at ease. We want to feel connected to the divine. And so the goal of detaching, again, is to have ease, peace, and return to that spiritual center. It is not to be aloof. It's not to not have any attachments, not have any desires, not have any wants, any needs. That's not the goal of detaching, right? Why do we even employ detaching? Yes, it's because we want to get back to that space of power, of ease, and feeling at peace. Because we're rooted in this world. We're rooted in this world. We know that we're here in human bodies to experience, right? That means to experience the emotions, the pleasures, even the emotions that are not so pleasant, right? Anger, rage, sadness, grief. We're here to experience it all. We're here to create, to focus our energy and create what we desire. We're here to enjoy, to have bliss, to have pleasure. And so we're detaching not to disconnect ourselves from others, the planet, animals. We're detaching actually to go deeper into our connection with others, animals, the planet, our creations, our desires. We want to deepen our connection to it. And we are recognizing that obsessing about the past, obsessing about a future desire is actually not allowing that deeper connection. But let's go over what detachment is, or at least how I teach it, and what it is and how you can actually employ it. So detachment is removing the anxiety, the angst, the suffering around our desire. Yeah, that's it. It's the same thing, but here's the twist. I am not saying that you are detaching from the desire, right? So that's really important. That's a key difference. It's not that you're detaching from the desire. It's that you're removing the anxiety, the suffering, the obsessiveness around the desire. And for some people, this looks like being detached or unattached to the how. So how something is going to come about, but actually it doesn't always have to look that way. you can have a clear idea of how something is going to happen and how you would like it to happen, and not be attached, not be anxiously attached to, the outcome. You can be at ease, just be at flow. Like, I have a sense, I'm feeling out, what's coming next, and I just have a sense that this is going to work out like X, Y, and Z. Or I have a feeling that when I go to the bakery, they're going to have that pastry that I really love. So you kind of know how you're going to get that sweet treat. So it's not detaching from the how completely, but it's instead removing the anxiousness, the anxiety, the anxious feelings, the obsessiveness, the intensity that's kind of throwing us out of whack. And you can feel when you have like a pleasurable intensity and you're just like excited versus oh, I don't know if it's really gonna happen, like versus jitters, right? So you can feel the difference. At no point are you telling yourself that you don't want what you want, that you don't want love in your life, that you don't want money, that you don't want, whatever it is that you have your eyes on. Even that you don't want your ex, right? At no point are you saying, oh, I don't want like I'm pretending like I don't want it, I'm detaching from it, whatever. Instead, you are going to find the core essence of your desire. You're going to really clarify and get to the essence of what it is that you want. And that is where you're going to put your focus. This has been an excerpt of the Women Gone Wild podcast, episode 111, How to Practice Detachment for Positive Outcomes in Love and Life. If you would like to watch the full podcast episode, go ahead and tap the video on the left. If you'd like to watch something new, go ahead and tap the video on the right. And remember to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. What were your thoughts on this episode? Thanks for listening.